Hey guys, MZ here. So, I finally got to see the Poltergeist remake! I have actually been anticipating that movie for quite a while, and I have to say, it was well worth the wait. It wasn't a terrible remake, nor was it, the best thing I had ever seen, but it's definitely a movie that I could definitely see myself owning it on DVD. Again, like I said, it wasn't a terrible remake. I have seen some pretty terrible remakes, and I have seen some very good remakes, like The Ring, Evil Dead. I've heard that a lot of people said it was a shot-by-shot remake, and no, it really wasn't. They kept a lot of the original content from the original movie. I mean, of course, the TV people, the scary clown, the creepy tree, and just, all in all stuff. If anything, they really amped up the scares in this one. They made the creepy tree scarier. They made the creepy clown, 10 times scarier. I mean, they really amped up the scares in this movie to the point where it was pretty satisfying. I was, especially with Sam Raimi being the producer of this, with incorporating the tree, I could see, Sam Raimi saying, hey, let's make this kind of like my Evil Dead, minus the raping. The remake, of course, it incorporated a lot of the main story. It wasn't a shot-by-shot remake. It wasn't anything like that. They changed a few things. They changed a couple of characters around, like the Zelda Bernstein character.
Correction, it's Zelda Rubinstein.
Has changed. I mean, that character itself was there, the person that was cleansing the house, but of course they changed it, it was like a TV show host guy that's actually a legit paranormal, investigator kind of thing, and he does do this sort of thing. But that change wasn't bad. In fact, some of the changes that I really did like was, they amped up the scares with the clown, the tree, and with the older sister, they actually made her seem like a real character, because in the original one, she would be off to school, or she'd be off hanging out with friends, and she would, pop up every now and then to shriek and scream, and, that was about it. But other than that, the older sister in this movie, in the remake, certainly she stuck around. She was actually, legitimately there the whole time. She even had her own personal scare, her own personal, fear in the movie, which I thought was great. And my only concern, my only problem with this movie was the fact that, they just, because in the original one, they briefly talked about how, they're talking about how the house was built on a cemetery, and they moved the bodies, and blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out they didn't move the bodies, they just moved the tombstones.
That you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies.
La-di-da-di-da.
You son of a bitch, you left the bodies, and you only moved the headstones!
But in this one, it kind of bothered me, because that was a key element in the movie, and they just they briefly mentioned it, like it was no big deal. But of course, in the original one, they made it a big deal. Bodies and shit were coming out of the ground, and scary, and no spoilers or anything like that, but the same thing happened in the remake. However, it was so brief that it wasn't even that shocking. I mean, they had one big scene where it was like, oh my god, but at the same time, it was like, oh, well, okay, I had my oh my god moment, but now it's gone. It's like, Whereas in the original one, it was just bodies, 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 bodies in your face! Bodies! With, mentioning earlier that Sam Raimi was producing it, I was really on board with the fact that when this movie was first rumored that Sam Raimi was going to direct it. Now, Sam Raimi, just to clarify who he is, Sam Raimi is the guy that directed, he directed, movies like the Spider-Man movies, not the Amazing Spider-Man, but the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. He did the movie Drag Me to Hell, Oz the Great and Powerful, and of course I am mentioning a bunch of movies that not many people like, but he also did do the very well-known well-known Evil Dead series, and Darkman, and Quick and the Dead, and all that stuff. So, you know, he's got some damn good movies on his belt, and, you know, he's one of my favorite directors, but then, of course, he was bumped down to producer on this one, so I was a little discouraged, but I still wanted to see it because Poltergeist was one of my first horror movies I had ever seen, and so it holds a very special place in my heart, and because, you know, Poltergeist is just, it's a great movie. The original is great, the original is phenomenal, it has a great cast, and of course, you know, that's something I could briefly say is that, you know, yeah, they did change up the cast a little bit. The girl who played the it's not Carol Ann in the remake, it's Maddie in the remake. Now, the girl that played, you know, the Carol Ann character, she was cute, you know, I liked her, but I kind of liked the original one. Now, not to sound like a hipster or anything, but, you know, there were lines, they deliver the same lines, in, you know, the remake and the original. There were some, like, copy and paste lines, like, but the way that the girl, you know, the Carol Ann delivered, the way she delivered it, she made it so innocent, so cute, and it was just, you know, she just buttered me up the entire movie because it was just like, you legitimately feel bad for her, you feel sorry for her, and don't get me wrong, in the original one, she goes through the same shit as Carol Ann did, but Maddie, on the other hand, it seems like, you know, the way she delivered the lines, that it was too, you know, it was too robotic almost, like, you know, of course, both movies deliver the very famous line, "They're here," whereas Carol Ann made it sound so cute, like, "Oh, hey, my best friends are here," but whereas this one, she seemed kind of like uneasy right from the start. Like, she was like, "They're here," you know, like, huh, okay, well, that's clearly not a good thing. Now, focusing on, like, the brother, I kind of like the one in the original better because, you know, sure, he was kind of annoying at some points, but he actually would react like a little kid would react to something scary. He would scream like a little girl. You know, he would scream, you know, when he discovers that Carol Ann is in the movie, when he discovers that Carol Ann is in the TV, you know, he flips a shit. He is screaming, "Mom, Mom, Mom, Mom," and, you know, that, I will admit, when I was that age, yeah, when I reacted to something like that, I screamed for my parents until they came into the room. But in the remake, he delivers a similar thing, but it just kind of makes me think, oh, this is part of the script. Oh, Mom, Mom, Mom. And it just didn't seem that believable. However, the parents, I like the parents in both of them, honestly. Now, in the original, they would react to how, I know, the best way I can say is they both reacted how legitimate parents would react to something like this, and it's a pretty scary situation. But, you know, with that aside, you know, the remake was actually not that bad. And I know I've said that about 50 gajillion times at this point, but I will say that it is a good movie to go see in theaters. But if you want to wait until it comes out on DVD, you go right ahead. You know, I'm not suggesting you immediately drop what you're doing and go see this movie because it's an amazing movie. I'm not saying that. I am saying, however, that this movie, in certain aspects, it lives up to the remake. There were some scenes that were actually really intense that had me on the edge of my seat, but there were some scenes where I was just kind of like, the original one was better. Whatever you choose is your best choice. Now, again, with this kind of mini review off the, out of the way, let me know what you guys think if you've seen this movie. You know, tell me what you guys think. You know, like, if you didn't like this movie, you know, tell me why. If you liked it, tell me why. But, again, as a final note, the movie was not bad, so go and see it if you want to. I am the MZ, and I have reviewed this movie, kinda, sort of. Yeah! See you later!